What's going on? I never did a live stream, so bear with me. Um, Basically, I want to jump on here real quick. If there's anybody who's following my channel, um, I have some issues with what is going on today. Um, Everybody has talked about this national walkout or hash day, walk out of school day, or whatever they're calling it, um, to quote unquote remember what happened a month ago and honor those who lost their life. But that's not really what the agenda is. The real point of it is to protest guns. It is a anti-gun issue that's being pushed. The media is helping it, and it's widespread. But we're talking about protest of kids. No offense, but I'm not going to let my kids tell me what I can and can't do or how I should raise them. I'm not going to have my kids tell me what their punishment should be if they do something wrong. They're kids. Regardless, if some of them are teenagers or not, they're kids at this point. This about them walking out of school in protest. I know when I was going to school, if we were caught outside of school during school hours, the police would pick you up and take you back to your house. So they should be in school. I have a big problem with what's going on. They need to be in school learning, not being able to just walk out or cut just because. Now, maybe they have a good point to start with, but I'm going to venture to guess that 80% of them are only doing the walkout to get out of class. They really don't know what they're talking about. And now it's going even further. Like, I'm from New Jersey, if you watch my other videos. And today, two more kids, a total of 5, but today, 2 more kids were suspended from school. These 2 kids they got 5 days in school suspension, but the other 3 were actually suspended from school because they posted a picture of themselves and their parent at a range, because their school policy says that they're not allowed to have pictures of them near or with any firearm, no matter if it's on school property or not. Well, that's a little bit of a First Amendment problem, and it's a Second Amendment problem. There's me, personally, I train my kids. I go to the range, I shoot. Sometimes they're proud of their targets. They take pictures with their target. I like to see them try to suspend my kids over a picture. Now, I understand where they're coming from, because you have kids like down what happened in Florida and other places where they post pictures of themselves with guns with cryptic messages, or violent things that are going on. Well, going to the range with your father, being taught how to shoot properly and gun safety, and being proud of your target has nothing to do with school shootings. So that's one thing I have a problem with. So these kids are being punished because they went to the range with their father. It doesn't make any sense, and I'm pretty sure it's illegal. What someone does in their private time off of school grounds with a parent is none of the school's business. Now, to further that, I get a email today from my son's middle school and elementary school where the principal in their first paragraph talks about, what happened in Florida and recognizes that there was a lot of stuff going around the country, that there was going to be walkouts and protests today. The last line of it, she said, "My heart goes out to the 243 kids that lost their life in school." And I'm like, okay. So I knew, without even reading the rest of her email, what side it was leaning. So finishing it through, she said that they weren't going to let the kids do anything today, but they were going to allow the kids time to organize, maybe do something in the auditorium, and they can discuss how they should handle it with the staff. Should they, like I heard one high school here in New Jersey, all the students went out of their classrooms, sat in the hallway for 17 minutes out of respect for the 17 kids that were lost, or the 17 people that were lost in Florida. So that's what they were going to discuss, how to do it, maybe even do a protest in the gym. Quote from her was, so they can let the kids express themselves so they can be heard. Mind you, this is second grade to eighth grade. 80% of these kids are not even teenagers yet. And also being grown up in southern Jersey here, other than hunting, guns aren't really a big household thing here, because it's so hard to get a firearm in New Jersey in the first place. So, and virtually no one has carry permits. So it's rare, to say the least. But with the agenda, she wants to talk about safety, school safety, and then that leads into gun safety, and next thing you know, it's a protest about guns, and it's gonna get way bigger and bigger problem. And when are we going to stop? Because there's no way a kid is going to tell me what to do. No way should kids, regardless if they're 18 or lower, kids going to tell me or even for that matter, what they should tell the government on what to do. It's retarded. So I emailed her back, and I said, I'm sorry for what happened in Florida. It's heartbreaking. No one should have to go to school and lose a life. So I understand where you're going with that. However, me personally, I send my kids to school to learn. Teachers are there to teach what's in the curriculum, not their viewpoints, not the principal's viewpoints, not their political views, or blah, 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 and all that crap. They're there to learn. Period. They're there to learn. I told her point blank, my kids are not to participate on what's going on in the school. If you want to send a pamphlet home, I can go over it. I can go over it with my kids at home. I said, while they're in school, they need to be in class and learning something. They are not to be taken out of class to sit in the hallway for 17 minutes or to spend a whole day or half a day or even one period in an auditorium. I said, on top of that, if they are forced to participate in these events, these activities that the school is doing, I will sue you. That is, without a doubt, 100%, I will sue you if you make them participate. They need to be in their class learning. Sorry if you don't feel that way, but that's why my kids go to school. Other than that, I would homeschool them. I also followed that up with this. Until these kids protest about the 650,000 or more abortions that haven't happened every year and do a protest and walk out over that, then they need to keep their mouth shut. There's a lot of things out there that they should be protesting about, maybe because it affects them, you know. But this, I really think they need to just be in school to do what they're supposed to be and learn, and that's what it needs to be focused on. To have things pushed down their throat, regardless on how it got there, if they're learning it from TV, they're learning it from the bad news, searching on YouTube, whatever. They don't need to be going to school and have it pushed down their throat too. You know, if the school wanted to, say, lower the flag half-mast, have a moment of silence in the beginning of the day, you know, something like that, fine. I'm okay with that, but not to take them out of school. I have a problem with taking out a day of learning for this reason. People might have negative opinions on that. I don't give a shit. Okay? And as for these high school kids that are walking out of school, they should be suspended. You got kids being suspended for what they do at home with their parent, but yet these kids are basically ditching and skipping school, and they're actually that behavior is okay. That's horrible. Who's that? Yeah, you're right. Um, you're absolutely right, man. The government really does need to do their job in enforcing the laws that are already on the books. Um, Speaking of that, this whole gun safety thing that they're talking about, this thing in Florida never had to happen. Okay, they were at that guy's house 39 times. The police were. A few times they sent a psychiatrist with the police. He had written documents that he suffers from a mental disorder of some sort, and follow-ups need to be made, and reports never turned in to the proper place, which allowed him to go buy the firearm legally. Okay, he shouldn't have been, but he was. His own mother, before she passed away, called the police on him. So obviously there was a problem, you know? So they messed up there. It should have been caught way before that. Then the FBI got two separate tips. Two. Both times they failed to do their job. Okay? Then he takes an Uber to the school, which Uber's policy, you're not allowed to have a gun in the car. So he should be denied that fare. You know, he shouldn't have been allowed to get in a car. They said it was in a black rifle case. I mean, that's pretty hard to, miss. It's not like a book bag, you know. So then the school, come to find out, had a guard, and the guard didn't do anything. He stayed outside. Then the first three cops show up, and they stayed the hell outside. While the shooting is going on inside, too much of a chicken shit to go in there and help. Meanwhile, an unarmed teacher helps. You know, sorry he lost his life, but he saved some kids. Just imagine if he was armed. Maybe things would have turned out different. Or maybe if the cops went in, things would have been different. Or if the FBI did their job, things would have been different. Or if the 39 times prior to this, you know, none of this would have happened. None of this talk would be going on right now, and 17 people would still be alive. But yet, it's somehow the gun's fault. I don't get it. It's sad. Oh, yeah, man. As for my carry permit, yeah. So obviously, I have someone that follows me. Um, yeah. Well, right now, I was denied at my chief's level. I went to court. Uh, the judge denied me. However, in his determination, uh, ruled that though I had a threat, it wasn't good enough. And the prosecutor said if he was in my shoes, he would apply for a permit too. But yet, they both denied me. Um, the judge was, though, nice enough to say that I should appeal, and that a three-judge panel may see it different. So, on that note, the guy Mark, who was also applying for his permit at the same time I was, he was denied, and his reason was he witnessed a stabbing, and the person who did the stabbing saw him as a witness and kind of gave him a hand gesture threat. And, he lived near where the stabbing happened. So, with a lot of drug activity around his area that he lives in, that was his reason. And apparently that wasn't good enough. So he was denied. We have joined forces, and we have appealed thanks to some of the Second Amendment groups and probably my channel maybe. We raised enough money to file our appeal at the appellate division. We have a lawyer going over our brief right now. We have to submit our initial brief in, I think it's about like 20 more days we have. So we'll file our brief, and the prosecutor has about 30 days to do a reply brief, or an answer brief, I think they call it. Most likely it's going to be a motion trying to get us to throw out the case, but that's not going to happen. And then we have 10 days to do a rebuttal on whatever he says. And we already kind of have a rebuttal already written, mainly because we know what they're going to say from prior cases, and pretty much just like everything else, it's the same talking points. No matter what angle you come from, it's the same talking points. The Drake case, which is the Third Circuit, that's what New Jersey follows, is that ruling. However, that ruling was based on a couple of old cases from 1991 and 1971, and they don't apply Heller and the McDonald case properly. I'll give you a big tip or info about it. See, New Jersey is proud and they brag that they issue or deny permit on a case-by-case basis, okay? But you can no longer do that. In the Heller decision and in the McDonald decision at the Supreme Court level, which is the supreme law of the land, that outsays whatever the circuit courts say. So, with those two Supreme Court cases state that they can no longer decide cases on a case-by-case basis. That chiefs, actually spells it out, chiefs and future judges cannot decide on a case-by-case basis. Well, New Jersey, over the last, since roughly 1968, around there till now, there's so many cases that they ruling that they brag that they issue permits on a case-by-case basis. So, our argument is that they're not allowed to decide that way anymore. And regardless of a Democratic judge or a Republican judge, it really doesn't matter. It is what it is. Heller McDonald says that you cannot issue a permit or deny a permit on a case-by-case basis. And New Jersey actually states that they do just that. So if we win our argument, it will open up the door for everyone. We are not even asking for them to give us our permit as a prayer of relief. We're asking that they remove a portion of how they interpret permit applications, and then let us go back to court to reapply without those standings. And without those standings, we're going to get our permit because they already proved through the background check and investigation, and I have it in writing that states that I meet every requirement that's needed and that I do not have any disabilities or disqualifiers whatsoever. So, and that's actually a quote, that I don't have any disqualifiers or disabilities whatsoever. So that's where we have a strong belief that we will win that. Now, I think what will happen is we will win on the 3-judge panel, and New Jersey is going to appeal it. And then, I think it's just going to go back and forth, and it might end up in the Third Circuit. And then that's where we're going to have a problem, because the Third Circuit's still going to look at Drake, and what they really need to do, the Drake case, and what they really need to do is not interpret, but they need to follow what actually Heller and McDonald ruled upon. And if they do that, we'll win. We'll win. Their argument is flawed. But I'll let you guys know what's going on with that when I get there. And I kind of went off my track a little bit, but anyway, today with what's going on with the walkout, like I was saying, is very, very frustrating. What my school sent out was frustrating. I don't want my kids having anything. They should be in there learning. Then on top of that, 2 kids from, I think it's Lacey Township. I might be wrong on that. They were suspended 5 days in school suspension because they were at a shooting range. From the story I saw, they were at a shooting range with their father. And I actually seen they have a snapshot of their policy, and it says on school grounds or off school grounds. So a school policy is going to tell you, people who are watching this from New Jersey, they're going to tell you what you can and can't do with your kids at home, or what should I say, outside of school hours. They're going to dictate on what you do. That's the problem. If they do that, it's only going to get worse. Just like some other people, you take away the second, the rest of your rights will fall. And that's exactly what they want. People got to understand what happened in other countries when they talked about, disarming the people. Learn, do your research, watch what happens in every place they confiscated or made you register your firearm. Hitler did it, and you saw how well that worked out for the people over there. Not so good. So, sorry this was a little bit, or I should say a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I'm sorry for that. But we, as a people, regardless of what you are, need to wake up. It's not that hard to see what they're trying to do. And you let your kids be brainwashed in school, that leads to a whole nother generation of libtards that that are really ruining our country. It's a shame. So wake up, see what's going on, teach your own kids. Don't let the schools dictate what they learn, how they learn when it comes to things outside of a school book. You know, my sons, my daughter reads the book that I have at home, which is the United States Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. They read it, they understand it to a point. Some language is hard to understand, but they understand. They also realize that every human being has the right to defend himself. So that's going into things like that. So it really does start at home, and then it'll grow from there. But be woke. Don't let the schools do this stuff. And if you're watching this, or you know someone who who might be in this same situation with their kids being suspended, or they take their kids to the range and maybe they post a picture of it on Instagram, be aware that it's happening, that kids are being suspended either in school or out of school for what they do on their own time with a parent. Um, Again, it's completely different if the kid is, you know, 13 years old with a an AR and a dead cat in the background, and the post is like, "Look what I did." Like that's different than going to a range and shooting with your father. Completely different. So anyway, thanks for the ones who stuck around and watched. Until next time, peace.